Welcome to a room that's not my own. So, once this says we're started, it's taking its sweet time. We're actually live. I think we are. Well, welcome to a room that is not my. We're in my sister Elizabeth's room. Kansas is watching TV and trying to go to bed. I wanted to read stories, and Elizabeth said I could use her room because she's downstairs watching TV anyway. So this should be fun. So we're gonna read some scary stories. Forewarning: there's death in these stories. I know this because I wrote them down on Wattpad. So some of them are sad. There's one that I made purely comedy because I didn't know how to write horror. It wasn't scary, but some of them are sad. Some of them are actually scary. These are just a bunch of stories. Me, Kansas, mom wrote. I was trying to remember if I put any of my other sister stories in there, but I don't think so. What did I actually sign it? Okay. Oh. Load. Peace. Thank you. Okay. There's what? 18 parts? No. 18 reads 12 parts. I can't read. Um. Yeah, me, Kansas, and mom. Oh, there's so many stories I haven't put in here yet. Okay. Forewarning: death. I think it's sad. This is kind of a long intro. We're going to start with The Girl with No Eyes. And I wrote this one. So, yeah. The name of the story on Wattpad is called Brief Scary Stories. Let's just jump into it because I feel like we can. So I wrote this one, The Girl with No Eyes. So in the middle of nowhere in a forest, there was a family camping. The family consisted of Janet, which was the mom, Ted, which was the dad, and their twins James and Jamie. So they were sitting around a fire telling each other their favorite creepypastas and their favorite legends that they each liked. Janet started and told the story about Slenderman. Then Jeff took a turn and told about Jeff the Killer. James told them about SCP 096 096. But Janet told them about the girl with no eyes. So as the legend goes, in a small town there is a young girl who lived with her parents. So the girl was an actor who was good at what she did. Her dad worked as a mailman. Her mom was a retired actor. She retired after she had her daughter, and this caused her to be super jealous. So one day, she decided she needed to get rid of her daughter. The mom needed to get rid of her daughter. So after she got back from work, her mom drove over 3 hours to get to the cave in the middle of to a cave in the middle of the forest, and told her daughter that the director wanted to meet her there. As she walked away, she put a stone in front of the cave. The mother's scheme had worked. Whoa, I skipped something. No, I didn't. I just didn't put it in there. Okay. Anyway, gotta go back and fix that. The mother became famous for the grieving mother of a missing actor for about 6 weeks. But when she went back, it was too late for her daughter. She was dead. And so she called the police, and they arrested her. Well, why are you arresting me? She asked. And they explained it to her. It was too far of a drive for her to just have stumbled upon the body of her decomposing daughter. And they say she still haunts that cave. Jamie ended the story. So why is she called the girl with no eyes? James asked, not Jamie. Because they found her with no eyes because she was decomposing from her head. No, that's not how it actually works. I know that. So she led them to the cave where the girl. Oh, well, I wrote the girl twice. She led them to where the girl supposedly died. Ted and Janet moved the stone, and the girl was sitting there. She got up and ate the family and creepily moved the stone back, waiting for the next unfortunate souls to find or tell her story. Mine are somewhat dumb. The next one's one I wrote too. So this one is called The Wrong Tomb. Debating whether to put my glasses on or not. I don't know. Will you be able to see me? Meh. Oh, doesn't even matter. It's just a reflection of the TV in my glasses. Okay. I was listening. Okay. So one dark stormy day, an old woman was sitting at her husband's grave tending to the weeds and the flowers that she'd left. As as usual. Well, one dark and stormy day, an old woman was sitting at her husband's grave, tending to the weeds and the flowers she left. She normally did, since her husband passed away 25 years ago. It was her little tradition she did every year around this time. This year was different. She sat at the grave and realized the flowers were already there. She chalked it up to she had forgotten that she had placed them until she noticed a gentleman. Hello. I'm using Alyssa's room
Why?
because Kansas is in our room and Lillian's downstairs. Lillian said I could use the room. It's Megan. That's her room. Anyway, she noticed a gentleman sitting at her husband's grave. She walked up to him. What are you doing here? Were you a friend of my husband? She asked him. The man continued talking to the tombstone as if she had said nothing. She got down to his level and asked him again. She was left again to him staring at the grave. She turned around and looked at the grave, but instead of seeing her husband's name, she saw her own, and she remembered she was the one who died, not her husband. Could have put more detail into that one. I chose not to. Just so we're all aware. This better not be another one of mine. No, this one's mom's. I'll give you guys a trigger warning for this one. It does deal with suicide. Okay? We all got that understood? So it begins. Martha's doing dishes, looking out the window, wondering what's out there. She hears cars honking and sirens in the distance. What could they be for? She walks outside and sees the weather is hot, humid, and the sirens are getting further away. Martha went back inside and sees her husband. He asked what was going on, and Martha said she had no idea. She didn't see anything. Where were the kids? He asked. Well, they're upstairs playing, she answered. Then her husband asked what was for dinner. Steak and potatoes, she said. How much longer until it's done? About 20 minutes. How was work? She asked. It's tiring, but it's work. She calls the kids down for supper and then bedtime. The next day, school, work, homework, all over again. The sound of sirens echo through the town. It must be busy this time of season. That's the second time in 2 days. Everything is as it should be. Supper, bedtime, repeat. Then one day there are appointments. Rushing and a red light. Had they not been fighting, Martha would have seen it and stopped. But as fate would have it, she didn't. That day it made it hard to breathe. For the last 3 years, no more school, no more bedtime. The hurt made it so that the marriage couldn't hold anymore. The blame was laid on her. It crushed her. Time is cruel. It's a cruel thing. Instead of moving on, she got stuck, aching to hear the laughing, the screaming. No. The laughing, the screaming, she felt left behind. After burying her angels, Martha sat wondering how her life got to this. It reminds her every day she made a mistake, an unforgivable mistake. When Martha sat on the park bench, lost in thought, on the third anniversary of her loss, she remembers everything, every detail, like the pain was yesterday, like it happened, all over again. Then she hears the sirens again. This time, she hears her mother screaming. Why would she be screaming? She hears the sirens coming closer. Oh, yes, she remembers. But now she hears her girls laughing. As she takes her last breath, she hears them. The pain stops. No more heartbreak, no more blame. She feels better, happier. As she hangs from the railing, her mom is too late. Then she sees the sirens are for her, but she didn't need them anymore. As she tells her girls, it's time for bed. That one is really sad. I love that one. That one my mom read. Okay, this one's stupid. This one is called The Legend of the Lumbercorn, an Amish tale. I wrote this one. Okay, so in the small Amish community of Bikini Bottom, there's a tale of the Llamacorn. As the story is told, there was an Amish couple who lived in this community with their 4 kids, Martha, Sarah, Jebediah, and Joseph. One day, Jebediah and Sarah were doing their chores when they noticed a small path behind their farm, where their house was. So they followed the path, and at the end of the path there was a cave. It's the Llamacorn, mate. Your favorite one. I lost my place. Into the cave, which was pitch black. They were afraid to go in, so they went to their dad, and his response was for them to never go back. It was too dangerous to be near the cave, and bad things happen to kids that go in the cave. But they didn't care. Later that night, they went into the cave. Jebediah went in first. He was disappointed. There was nothing in the cave except a dirty, musty smell and rocks. After Jebediah went in, Sarah decided she wanted to take a look. She found a house-like structure, a small chest at the end of the hallway, and it was filled with candy. So she took a couple pieces, and all of a sudden she heard screaming from outside. It was her brother. He was impaled, and there stood a llamacorn, with beady eyes, long tongue, if I could speak English. Lost her place. And she ran home and told her father, but it wasn't long until she heard the screams of the community, of everyone in her town, and they were all dead. As soon as she turned around to look at her father, she was met with a llamacorn stabbed to the gut, and to this day, no one has ever stolen candy from the llamacorn again. It has a lot more detail than that in the story I wrote, but I didn't do that. I did not for this. Okay, this one. It's called The Unexpected Visitor. In a small cul-de-sac, there were 2 families. They were friends. They had lived in the cul-de-sac for almost 10 years. Renee, the mother of the first family, had 6 children. Rebecca, Rachel, Riley, Rosie, Raven, and her husband, Reese. Taylor, the mother of the second family, had 3 children, Thomas, Tabitha, and Tyler. And her husband, Tate. Yes, I made all their names match. One day, Rebecca was watching Taylor's kids, and her sister Raven, as she normally did. Tabitha and Raven were sitting by the front door of Taylor's house, talking, as they normally did. They were best friends. But the closer Rebecca looked, the weirder it was. It was like there was a third person involved in their conversation, but it was just the girls. So Rebecca waited for Taylor to get home, but when she got home, she dismissed Rebecca's concerns because it was Tabitha's imaginary friend. So Rebecca let it go. She did tell her mom. So after, she told her mom after her and Raven got home. Her mom also found it weird, but told Rebecca not to worry. It was okay. A few weeks passed, and they stopped talking to the imaginary friend. But one day, Rebecca was putting Tyler down for a nap. She heard an older male's voice talking to the girls. She assumed it was Tate, Tabitha's dad. But it was a large, thin man. I wrote thin man. Wow, I gotta go back and fix this crap. What do you want? Rebecca asked. I want your bushes, he said. My what? It happened to have been James the gardener. He was the imaginary friend. That's dumb. That's okay. Moving on. That house. I think this one's the one Kansas wrote. Oh my. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 more. Okay. 25 Table Street has been known to be haunted. People pass by it every day and report hearing or seeing strange things. But today's encounter was different. Hi, this is the police department. Hi, is this the police department? I read that wrong. It was a little old lady on the phone. I happened to be the only officer at the station. Yes, this is. What can I do for you? I replied. It didn't sound very important. Well, I wanted to report a little girl in the upstairs window. I'm sorry, ma'am. What upstairs window? Oh, the broken dark house on Table Street. Of course it was the haunted house. I sunk down into my chair and assured her I'd be there soon. I mean, I wasn't in a rush to check it out, and honestly, it felt like a waste of time. I eventually got there after 15 to 20 minutes after the call, and she wasn't there. I figured she got tired of waiting. Regardless, I went inside. I shined my flashlight into the dark rooms on the first floor and made my way to the second floor. While I was up there, I heard a little girl's laugh. I followed it to a child's room, but it was worn and dirty, like you would expect an abandoned house to look. Even then, there was no sight of a girl. I headed back down. Nothing changed, nothing new, but the old lady was back. Did you find her? She asked hopefully. No, ma'am, the house was empty, I assured her. Then how do you explain the little girl's laughter on the second floor? She asked. Well, how did you know that? Well, how did she know that? I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play stupid. No one goes up there without hearing the laughter, she said as she morphed into the little girl before disappearing altogether. I like that one. I like all of them. Okay, this one's called The Porcelain Doll. This one was also written by my sister. Okay. So Emily had been missing for 2 weeks with no leads on where she was or where she could have gone. How could a 6-year-old girl find her way through the woods? Her mom Her mom sobbed into the hand-stitched quilt she made for Emily when she was born. Her father had put his mind to work constantly at his job to avoid the heartache he felt from the loss. Emily's 11-year-old sister didn't give up hope. Every day she'd go out into the woods searching for clues in the mud. Emily, she called, coming up to the clearing, no response except for the birds flapping their wings. She was giving up hope. She sat on a mossy log, trying to hold back the floodgates in her eyes. Then suddenly she heard a branch snap from behind her. Huh? She gasped, glancing behind her. The sun shined on something white in the long grass. She cautiously crept towards the object, revealing a porcelain doll with skin white as snow, long brown hair, ringlets, framing her cracked face. Maddie, something whispered close by. Another gasp escaped her lips. As she glanced over her shoulder, nothing. She held the broken doll close to her chest and ran through the woods safely back home. Maddie brought the doll to her weeping mother. Mom, look, she chirped, holding the doll up to her mother. Her mother took a step back, grabbing the doll from the bottom of the dress. Where did you find this, Maddie? She asked, disgusted by the look of the broken doll. In the clearing where me and Emily were playing before she disappeared, Maddie explained. I told you not to go back there, her mother scolded her, holding the doll by her side. Mommy, a little girl whispered. The mother was staring at Maddie, and it wasn't her. She cautiously held the doll up by both her hands. I missed you, the mother. I missed you. The mother was now sure that the whispering was coming from the doll. She threw the doll towards the wall, pulling back Maddie with her. The doll's head swiftly turned up towards her. Why would you hurt me? The doll spoke clearly. Why would you hurt me, Mother? I'm not your mother, she quivered. But, Mommy, it's me, Emily. The doll had no emotion in its words. The mother was speechless, unsure if what she was saying was true. Was she losing her mind? Mommy, please, I just want to come home. Again, no emotion. The mother stepped closer. How do I know it's you? She asked. The birthmark on my wrist. And sure enough, the misshapen state of Texas birthmark was there. Okay. This one is called The Chase. My mom wrote this one. Through the dark, damp night, she feels the branches, leaves, and mud on her bare feet as she runs through the woods, hearing him behind her. The sound of him yelling, the sound of him yelling her name sends her into a faster pace. He can't catch up to me. I've run so far. I'm almost there, almost away from him. How did he know where I was? Where is everyone else? They were with me. Did they get away? I haven't heard them. I did hear a scream, but that was about an hour ago. I stopped by the creek to breathe and wash off my bloody clothes and my face. My face was covered in blood. The gunshot was deafening, so I ran. I am sure Sarah is dead, but the others? Why have I only heard him? Why not everyone else? Maybe they're waiting in the clearing. Charlotte, and I run. He knows my name. I hear the jingle jingle of his keys. He has keys? I see the clearing and only a couple more feet. I see the sun and it's morning. I made it to the clearing. Have I been running in circles? The blood of my friends. They're dead? Oh crap. He's found me. He put me in the back of a car, and after an hour, we were at the police station. A nice police officer asked me what happened. What happened to my friends? As he takes the gun from me, I remembered I did kill them. As I laughed at the officer tells me no one survived. Why did you do it? They wanted to go hunting. I guess I got the biggest catch. Okay. This one is called The Long Way Home. My mom wrote this one too. I think the last four, counting this one, were written by my mom. I'm just going to tell you the name of the story. Just know the last four were made by my mom, starting with this one. This one is The Long Way Home, right? Yes. Daniel was driving his children to school and then he goes to work. The girls are laughing and singing in the back to music. Wow. That their dad has no idea what it means. They stop at a stoplight right before the school and a truck pulls up next to them. The light turns green and the truck backfires. And out of nowhere, Daniel is back in Iran yelling, everyone get down, it's an ambush. He feels the heat on the sand of his face planting as he is surrounded by a couple of his platoon dead and blown to pieces. He yells to the captain that there are two. And then he hears, Dad, you okay? Dad, no one's dead. We're at a stoplight. He snaps back, sweating and confused. What just happened? He tells his girls that he was just making sure they were okay. Daniel pulls up to the school. The girls kiss him on the cheek, and he yells, have a good day. We will. We love you, Dad, they yell back. He pulls away. On his way to work, he parks the car and heads for the elevator, sits in his cubicle. The mail car comes by. Seth, the kid that delivers the mail, says, hey, Captain, how's your morning? What did you just say to me? He asked. I said, good morning, Daniel. You called me Captain. Seth answers, yes, that's your name, Captain. What do you mean? Captain Daniels. You all right? They're moving in, Captain. We've been hit. He is unconscious on the ground, he says. Private Seth was dragging him to the truck. Captain, it was an ambush. We lost 3 men. We thought you were dead. No, I'm not dead, Private. That's great, Captain, but you were hit by a scrap piece of metal on your arm and your legs. Looks like you'll be on leave, he says. Shush. When they're safely in the truck. I don't know why you're doing that. Oh. We would all be dead if you didn't scream when you did. You're a hero, sir. Daniel says, all I want to do is to go see my wife and my kids. As soon as we get back to base and the infirmary patches you for the helicopter ride home, Captain, you'll be able to go home. Can I say something private? Anything, sir. I swear I was home with my girls and with my lame job. War can do some scary stuff to you, Captain. Just rest now. Next one is The Best Friend. Oh. Never sit and wonder why all this is happening, Jen. It's not worth the heartache, her mother says as they are leaving the cemetery. Burying her best friend broke her. They did everything together: cheering, volleyball, driving school. Lost in thought, Jen hears her mother ask if she wants to go back to the reception or to go home. I want to go to the reception. I need to be closer to her stuff, and see Julie, her mom. Her father would be here, but he's in Germany on business and he missed the funeral and her death. I personally think he's doing this to avoid the whole thing, her mother says as they pull into Tori's driveway. We walked to the front door and gave Julie a hug. Mom went to mingle. A big social person my mother is. I had one really good friend, and now I'm alone. After that night, instead, I go to Tori's room. I sit on her bed and cry. The pain is too much. Even breathing hurts. She left you, her brother John says from the door. I know, but I. Why didn't she wait for me? Why did she go on her own? If you had gone, the funeral would have been for both of you. What does that matter? There's no rewind button. It can't be fixed. Nobody but you blames you for what happened. You don't have to. You didn't have to go with her. You were busy. Busy, I yelled. I was thinking of myself and my needs. On. Okay, hold on. What happened was not wrong. We would have told her. Yeah, but now she's gone. What did I miss? I didn't miss anything. Okay. Now she's dead and we're together. I lied and told my best friend I was sick, and she went to a party alone, with no one to help her. John sat on the bed and hugged her and said, I know. What happened was I know what happened. I was there. She knew about us because she knew what? I'm sure she knew about us. Just because she's gone doesn't mean we need to stop. What do you mean she knew? It's because I told her. Well, why would you tell her? I told you I would. I know, but you were taking so long, and when she called and you told her you were sick and you were never going to. So you did? No. I told her, and she called you. You chose to lie. And now, not me. She knew we were going to the party. What? Yeah, I told her. She was on her way to the party to make sure I wasn't lying. That's why she left without you. She knew you lied. And I just don't know. Ugh. I guess she didn't know the road. I wrote that wrong. Wow. This is your fault. No, it's fate. If she didn't make that turn, that was nobody's fault. She wouldn't be gone if you didn't tell her. Maybe you shouldn't have lied to her. So the argument travels downstairs. Julie comes up and asks them what's going on. Both of them reply with nothing. If you're fighting over Tori, let me tell you, if her brakes hadn't been cut, she would have made the corner. We both looked bewildered. How did you know that? Because I cut them. She came down to the garage, saw me disposing of your father's body, and I couldn't let her tell you guys. But you just did. I know. And the double funeral is going to cost me a fortune. Some of these I gotta go back and fix. This one's called Graham. Wow, people are cruel. You seem to be a little different, and that makes you bad. I don't believe every difference is bad, but they do. But that's the end of the story. That's not the beginning. It starts with me and Mom at our house in the middle of the woods, where Mom had more men than anyone could count. So my dad was unknown, but who needed him? So Mom got sick with something I can't pronounce. But Graham came and stayed with me. We buried Mom when I was 10. I would have been sad, but I had Graham. She and me had fun. She loved me better than Mom did. She showed me how to sew, cook, hunt, and she made life bearable in the woods. When time passes and the men would come, Graham would hide and act like no one was home. Hide me and act like no one was home. So they would leave me and her alone. One day I was out hunting and talking to Graham, as I always do, when a man about 20, maybe, saw us and came over and asked what I was doing. I said, I'm hunting. Who are you? Who are you talking to? I'm Annabelle. And I was talking to my Graham, but she went back to the cabin to get a trap. How long have you been out here? About an hour, I said. No. How long have you lived here? Oh, I'm 15, so that long, I guess. Um, My mom died a while back, but it's just me and Graham. Who is your mother? Ruby. Ah, the whore, he said. I don't know what that means. So I'm guessing yes. He answered. You are rude. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I ran back as fast as I could to the cabin and asked Graham what a whore was and how I heard the word. And I told her. And she told me to be careful. That night they came with torches, rope, and a mob of people yelling, "Come out, witch." I walked outside and said, "Me and Graham are not witches." He told me I'm wearing a collar, said, "Your mom died when Ruby was 20. Your mom's mom died when she was 20. So, is this, so where is this Graham you talked about?" My heart broke. Couldn't breathe. "Graham, tell them," I cried, and she shook her head. I didn't know. I didn't know, I cried, but my cries were falling on deaf ears. They set the cabin on fire. He grabbed me by the arm and asked for my confession. And all I could say was I didn't know. They burned me. Oh, the pain. As I screamed, they watched, and when it was all over, I stood by the man with the collar and asked